what do you do after your tulips, which have been hydroponically grown, finish blooming? Well, you can save them. Kind of pull it apart and place them. And I might set this one right here. And then I'm going to come in with soil gently. When your hydroponic tulips have finished blooming or almost finished blooming, you can plant them in your garden. These tulips here were grown by Bloommaker, and they're beautiful. We have 3 tulips here, and then we might have 7 tulips in these other vases. This beautiful yellow and sort of a deep pink is just coming into bloom. I really like yellows. Now, if we look, these tulips are put in what we call a pin tray. And the water, normally, if you're growing hydroponic tulips, comes right to the bottom of the bowl. You do not want to have water covering your bulbs. Keep that in mind. So if you ever get these as a gift, you just want the water right to the bottom of each of the bulbs. Now, these have already started to dry, which are perfect for planting. And if you look at 2 of these here, you know, they keep their foliage for maybe 4 weeks, some 3 weeks, some 4 weeks. They keep their foliage after they finish blooming. But if you look, they're great at producing new little bulbs. So you want to plant these, don't break them apart. You want to plant these as a group in the garden. So what I'm going to do is carefully remove the bulbs from this pin tray. It's really easy. And problem with me is I'm a pack rat, so I'll save things. So this is a pin tray that you can use for flower arranging or different kinds of bulbs in the future. And if you look at this, this has produced 2 really nice bulbs here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare a spot for 2 of these and just dig, and I'm going to work in some pine bark, which I've already used as a mulch. I'm going to have to do it again. You see a few weeds, and so I'm going to dig down just like this, probably 6 inches. Now, I sometimes plant tulips 7 or 8 inches. But you're just going to work in the soil just like this. And I'm going to duplicate about the size of that pin tray. I'm going to come over here and prepare a hole for another one. And if you look at these tulips I have, the groupings are the best. So I have a pink one over there, a red one here, a yellow one here, and I have white ones elsewhere in the garden. But the great thing is, when you start getting 5 or 6 blooms, that is more simple on the eye. So I like to plant them in groups. Just looking at all these yellows, it's attractive. So you're going to come in here and just dig a simple hole. About big enough for a pin tray. Six to 8 inches deep, just like so. Now, the other one that I'm going to plant, which is finishing its bloom, is this one right here. If you look, it's almost done blooming. Since I'm already out in the garden, I'm going to go ahead and plant this one where the foliage won't dry, as you see here. So I'm going to come right out in the garden. First one I'm going to plant is this one right here, where the foliage has turned brown. And these are growing. And I'm going to make sure they're planted at the right depth. It's going to come right this way here. And what I'm going to do is set them down close together, so there's sort of a little bit of a clump. I might have maybe an inch between each bulb, and then I'm going to come back gently with this soil like this, and then when I'm done, I'm going to put a little bit of pine mulch. We've got it lasted for 3 years, and that one's planted. So this one, I'm going to try to, you see the roots grow right through the pin tray. So what I'm going to try to do is see if I can gently loosen these roots without breaking off the roots. And it looks like I'm pretty successful there. There's a little young shoot. I might plant that one too. So the roots are really in good shape, and you don't really want to let these roots dry out. So what I'm going to do is take this just as the clump that you see here and set it in this hole, and then gently fill back the soil. Just like this. Probably gonna water it you don't need to water them a lot, but probably one time. And then you're gonna have the mulch. And here's some mulch that you see that I've had in the past. I'm gonna pull a little of that mulch around them, and they're ready. That foliage is going to continue to grow another 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to produce energy for the bulbs. And then this plant's going to go to sleep for the rest of the year. And next April, right around now, they should look something like this. It's that easy. This one here, I'm going to enjoy. The buds are just opening, as you see, but this is the one that I'm going to make believe. Now, normally, hydroponically, there's water right to the bottom. You could enjoy this one for another week, week and a half indoors, but I'm just going to make believe this is completely finished flowering. And I'm going to take these tulips and plant them right here. So what I'm going to do is pull the tulips out of the vase, and I'm going to use, I cut peonies, I have a lot of flowers in the garden, lilacs, so I'm going to use this vase for that. But here, what I'm going to do, great new roots, I'm going to gently pull, see the roots, this pin tray comes right off the roots. Then what I'm going to do is kind of pull it apart and place them, and the soil is just left the soil a little loose so I can set them in here. They may not be straight up right now, but they will be when I'm done. And I'm just going to set these in here and make sure I set one of the nice ones right in the middle. So they're about 2 inches apart. And I might set this one right here. And then I'm going to come in with soil gently. And so I'm going to bring the soil, make sure they're standing upright. I'm trying not to damage the foliage, but I'm bringing the soil in all around. And like I said, I'm not planting them too deep because some of the tulips that come back year after year like their roots cool. And so the deeper in the soil, the roots are a little cooler. So they're just great. So I'm just going to come in, finish this up, boom, boom. They're all ready. One thing I am going to do, and that's why I wanted them to finish blooming, I'm just going to come in and break off the flowers so all the energy goes in to the new bulbs in the ground and not into producing seed where the flower is. You also may find hyacinths grown hydroponically. White, blues, beautiful pink here. And it's just that easy. You just take it and you plant it in the garden. And hyacinths are very fragrant. And you plant it just like that, and you should have this next year. There are other bulbs that you can find that are grown hydroponically, and that means just in water. And that includes daffodils, but it also includes hyacinths. And look at the variety of daffodils. You can have lots of different types and colors of daffodils. And daffodils tend to do very well in our gardens. And if you look at these, they're just coming up to bloom, but you can come in and literally just plant by plant, and just remove these plant by plant. So what I'm going to do is I've got a hole here already dug, and I'm just going to come in and take these bulbs out and I'm going to space them a little farther. Again, 6 to 8 inches deep if you can. I don't know if you can see down, but what you're going to want is every maybe 2 or 3 inches apart, you're going to take this group of daffodils, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and put 5. On my next vase, what I'm going to do is maybe make a hole just a little bigger. So once your daffodils have finished blooming, now they're going to send up this foliage. If you look at these daffodils here, they're sending up foliage. And that foliage is going to persist or stay in your garden for about 6 weeks. You do not want to cut this foliage down on the ones you're planting or ones you have existing in the garden until about 6 weeks after they finish flowering. So you're just going to come in here and gently fill in the soil just like this. Then it looks like you're putting them in a little deep, but that's okay. I find that they do better a little deeper. Now, I will mention something about daffodils. Daffodils are great because they're squirrel-proof, they're mice-proof, and they're also deer-proof. So daffodils, I mean, if you have a certain part of the garden, you want to plant something like daffodils, they're fantastic. So just go out, plant your tulips right when they finish blooming that have been grown hydroponically. You can grow and plant your hyacinths, and you can plant your daffodils. It's